Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, guys, we are back with this 12 lecture series for your preparation of RBI Grade B Phase 2 Descriptive English. And in this session, we would be learning some important, very important tricks for Pressy writing. We have, in the previous few sessions, covered essay writing. We started with Pressy writing in the last session. So if you've not watched that session, please do go watch that video. That's very, very important for your preparation and very useful as well. And guys, in this session, I would be talking about your previous year Pressy. So the agenda of this session is we'll be discussing the Pressy for the year 2022. That was given to the passage that was given for Pressy writing in the year 2022. Then we will learn a few very important tips and tricks that you must have up your sleeve if you're preparing for Pressy writing. Then somebody in the last video, in the comment section of the video, asked me, sir, what should be the time management and the time breakup of all these questions in the exam? So I'll also give you the time management. I had thought of this to provide it to you in the last session, but let's say if you want it right now, I can absolutely share that with you. Then very important, very few key mistakes that students very frequently make in the paper that I'll address today in this session. And then I'll give you a sample Pressy so that you can practice on your own and you can see where you are going and how you are faring ahead. So without any further ado, let's jump into the session, guys. Kindly give me a confirmation if you can see me, if you can hear me. Good morning, Sanmita. Hello, Vinci. Hello, Akhand. All right, guys, I think I'm audible and I'm visible. So I think we can move ahead, right? All right, guys. So before we begin the session, guys, don't forget to like the session. Don't forget to share it. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, don't forget to click the subscription button. And thank you. Thank you for the confirmation, guys. And guys, we have launched this series to proactively help you for your preparation in RBI Grade B Phase 2 Descriptive English part. See, this is the most most avoided or most neglected section of the paper, and students do not realize that English is a standalone subject in Phase 2. That is, there is a one dedicated paper for descriptive English only, which has 90 minutes and 100 marks to it. So you cannot let it go, you cannot avoid it, guys, because this becomes the game changer at the end of the day. This will be the deciding portion of your paper, which will make or break your result for your interview. So guys, do not neglect this. Start working in this direction, start practicing your essays, start writing, start articulating your Pressys from today onwards if you have not started doing that yet. And I'm sure within a couple of days or weeks, you will definitely get into the habit of writing these answers and writing them well. Right, so just follow the source, just follow the information and all what we have given you in these lectures. Learn from that, consume that, and then try to utilize that in your practice sessions, right? So all right, guys, let's begin with today's session. So I have the previous year Pressy passage with me. It was a long passage about space exploration, and let us see what could be a sample Pressy for such a big passage. And the word limit that was given was 150 words. Good morning, Ronak. All right, guys, so let's start reading the passage and let's see what could be a sample Pressy for this. So I'll read it out for you guys. We human beings have been venturing into space since October 4, 1957, when the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite into orbit Earth. This happened during the period of political hostility between the Soviet Union and the United States, known as the Cold War. For several years, the two superpowers had been competing to develop missiles called intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, to carry nuclear weapons between continents. In the USSR, the rocket designer Sergei Kolarov had developed the first ICBM, a rocket called the R7, which would begin the space race. This competition came to a head with the launch of Sputnik. Carried atop an R7 rocket, the Sputnik satellite was able to send out beeps from a radio transmitter. After reaching space, Sputnik orbited Earth once every 96 minutes. The radio beeps could be detected on the ground as the satellite passed overhead, so people all around the world knew that it was really in orbit. Realizing that the USSR had capabilities that exceeded US technologies that could endanger Americans, the US grew worried. Then a month later, on November 3, 1957, the Soviets achieved an even more impressive space venture. This was Sputnik 2, a satellite that carried a living creature, a dog named Laika. Now, prior to launch of Sputnik, the US had been working on its own capability to launch a satellite. The US made two failed attempts to launch a satellite into space before succeeding with a rocket that carried a satellite called Explorer on January 31, 1958. The team that achieved this first US satellite launch consisted largely of German rocket engineers who had once developed ballistic missiles for Nazi Germany. Working for the US Army at the Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, the German rocket engineers were led by Werner von Braun and had developed the German V-2 rocket into a more powerful rocket called Jupiter C or Juno. Explorer carried several instruments into space for conducting science experiments. One instrument was Geiger counter for detecting cosmic rays. This was for experiment operated by researcher James Van Allen, which together with measurements from later satellites proved the existence of what are now called the Van Allen radiation belts around the Earth. Then let's read further. In 1958, space exploration activities in the US were consolidated into a new government agency, the NASA, which when it began operations in October of 1958, NASA absorbed what had been called National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, and several other research and military facilities, including the Army Ballistic Missile Agency, the Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville. The first human in space was the Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, who made one orbit around the Earth on April 12, 1961, on a flight that lasted 108 minutes. A little more than 3 weeks later, NASA launched astronaut Alan Shepard into space, not on an orbital flight, but on suborbital trajectory, a flight that goes into space but does not go all the way around the Earth. Now, Shepard's suborbital flight lasted just over 15 minutes. 3 weeks later, on May 25, President John F. Kennedy challenged the US to an ambitious goal, declaring, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before the decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." In addition to launching the first artificial satellite, the first dog in space, the first human in space, the Soviet Union achieved the other space milestones ahead of the United States. Now, these milestones included Luna 2, which became the first human-made object to hit the moon in 1959. Soon after that, the USSR launched Luna 3. Less than 4 months after Gagarin flight in 1961, a second Soviet human mission orbited a cosmonaut around Earth for a full day. The USSR also achieved the first spacewalk and launched Vostok 6 mission, which made Valentina Tereshkova the first woman to travel to space. Now, during 1960s, NASA made progress towards Kennedy's goal of landing a human on the moon with a program called Project Gemini, in which astronauts tested technology needed for the future flights to the moon and tested their own ability to endure many days in spaceflight. Now, Project Gemini was followed by Project Apollo, which took astronauts into orbit around the moon and to the lunar surfaces between 68 and 72. In 69, Apollo 11, the US sent the first astronauts to the moon, and Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on its surface. During the landed missions, astronauts collected samples of rocks and lunar dust that scientists still study to learn about the moon. During the 60s and 70s, NASA also launched a series of space probes called Mariner, which studied Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Space stations marked the next phase of space exploration. The first space station in Earth orbit was Soviet Salyut 1 station, which was launched in 71. This was followed by NASA's Skylab space station, the first orbital laboratory, in which astronauts and scientists studied Earth and the effects of space flight on human body. Now, during 70s, NASA also carried out Project Viking, in which 2 probes landed on Mars, took numerous photographs, examined the chemistry of the Martian surface environment, and tested Martian dirt called regolith for the presence of microorganisms. Now, this is the last paragraph, guys. Since the Apollo lunar program ended in 1972, human space exploration has been limited to low Earth orbit, where many countries participate and conduct research on International Space Station. However, unpiloted probes have traveled throughout our solar system. In recent years, probes have made a range of discoveries, including that of a moon of Jupiter called Europa and a moon of Saturn called Enceladus have oceans under their surface ice that scientists think may harbor life. Meanwhile, instruments in space such as Kepler Space Telescope and instruments on ground have discovered thousands of exoplanets, planets orbiting the other stars. Now, this era of exoplanet discovery began in 95, and advanced technology now allows instruments in space to characterize the atmosphere of some of these exoplanets. So, guys, before I show you what could be the sample Pressy for this, now could you just give me a few key points that you could take out of this passage, what this passage was all about? I think we can broadly say that, this was about space exploration or space race, right? So just give me a title. So what do you think could be an apt title for this passage? Yes, guys, I want all of you to participate. Let's be receptive here, and I would love to. You to participate in this, guys. So just think of of a title, of an apt title that could be given to this passage. Yes, guys, would you like to try? I would go for some space race or space exploration journey, the space saga, Russia versus US. Very good, Lohit. That can be. See, space US versus Russia. We don't need to mention that specificity into the title. Title has to me. It is supposed to broadly outline the whole passage, what it is all about. So, space journey, space race, or you can say. The Chronicles of Space Era. Can we say that? Right. Venkat, space race, America versus Soviet. Okay. From space race to space cooperation. Very good, Akant. Good way of putting it. But see, guys, you don't need to delve into the depth of the passage. We can do that in the Pressy. But the title should be crisp, and it should highlight the whole thing. It was definitely about US and Russia. But did it highlight the space race? Was it always about, in the passage, were we only talking about the race between the two countries, or did we talk about perpetual growth of space, space avenues by both the nations? What do you think, guys? They have mentioned that it led to, or it was during the Cold War, but still, every part of the passage was not dwelling on the fight or the race between US and Russia. So can we also think in other terms, in broader terms here? Human exploration of space. Very good, Akash. Keep it up. All right, guys, so what could be a sample Pressy for this? All right, let's look at a sample solution and let's see if we can put it in simple terms where we can highlight the key points of all the paragraphs. So the title that has been given to this is Space Exploration, a Leap of Faith, right? Rhetoric, still dwelling on the key point here. So good title, Space Exploration, a Leap of Faith. Now let's read the Pressy, guys. Although the possibility of exploring space has long excited people in many walks of life, for the most of the latter 20th century and into the 21st century, only governments could afford the very high costs of launching people and machines into space. Starting after the mid of 20th century, USSR and USA became the pioneers in space research and exploration, which in turn started the so-called space race between the two nations. This reality meant that space exploration had to serve very broad interests, and it indeed has done so in a variety of ways. Now, government space programs have increased knowledge, served as indicators of national prestige and power, enhanced national security and military strength, and provided significant benefits to the general public. In areas where the private sector could profit from activities in space, most notably the use of satellites as telecommunication relays, commercial space activity has flourished without government funding. I don't know where this sentence has been taken from. So I think this should have been, see, this is what we talk about, guys. If we tend to include any information that is not given in the passage, or that cannot be inferred from the passage, should not be included in the Pressy. So this was written by one of the students, one of the aspirants. So see, this is where you can understand, oh, this is wrong, right? In the early 21st century, entrepreneurs believed that there were several other areas of commercial potential in space, most notably privately funded space travel. This is again not mentioned in the passage. This space exploration paved the way for our future, and after numerous space journeys, we are looking towards exoplanets, not just as spectators, but as contenders towards the future. Right. So even if we eliminate these two sentences now, the rest of the passage can be highlighted, and there should be a few more sentences about how the space journey, how it opened up, right? Starting from unmanned rockets, then going towards putting into orbital and suborbital journeys, and then finally which led to landing on the moon, and now we have space stations in our in our orbits or in space, which which continuously look for chances, or let's say opportunities to search for exoplanets and the journey ahead. So journey into the unknown, what's there? Not bad, Venkat. Race of US and Russia to space. All right, motivated thoughts. Human exploration of space. That is good, Akash. The human race to space. Very good, Ronak. See, it has to be kept in broader terms, right? So title should highlight the only key point, that is the central theme of the passage, or you can say the underlying theme of the passage. That should be there in the title, and then rest of the intricacies or rest of the details can be discussed in the Pressy itself, right? So guys, this is what I wanted to discuss with you. Now this was the previous year passage for the year 2022. Now I want you to try this passage on your own and come up with a Pressy and let me know in the comment section of the video, but not now, after the session. Let's learn something new. What could be some important tips and tricks for Pressy writing? So let's start with that, guys. And before we move any further, don't forget to like the session, guys. That is the least you can do for all the efforts that we are putting in for you, right? So don't forget to like the session. Don't forget to share it, because it may reach someone out there who really needs it. Somebody from the far-flung area, somebody who cannot afford all the courses and all the materials. So it may prove beneficial for someone out there. So don't forget to like it, don't forget to share it, guys. And you will get the PDF of this session in our Telegram channel, Telegram group, the link for which has been given in the description of the video below. So you can join our Telegram channel and you can get you can get all these PDFs and many more for free. So don't shy away, just jump into it. So let's learn. I think we discussed this last time, so I wanted to highlight this again. So what Pressy writing is all about. A Pressy is a clear, compact, condensed brief of a passage. Now you understand what brief is, right? So a Pressy is a clear, compact, condensed brief of a passage by exclusion of unimportant text and filtration of key points in the writer's own words. Now, Pressy writing is regarded as a very important kind of composition because it develops one's capacity to discriminate between the essential and the non-essential. And you would be doing it on a daily basis, if you become RBI Grade B officer. And I can tell you this, with experience. Students tell me this, aspirants who've cleared this exam from the previous years, toppers of this exam, they tell us that we do this every day on a daily basis, because you will get reports, memos, emails, articles from different agencies on a daily basis, and you would be required to shorten it down and put it in a sort of a Pressy or a summary and present it to your seniors. That is one important part of your job profile, by the way. So you should know how to differentiate or discriminate between the essential and the non-essential, and that should be very it should be learnt well. Now, what are the key points of a Pressy writing? You should plan or outline of the original passage or the article that you are reading. That means you should know how many paragraphs are there, and from every paragraph, which are the important key points that I need to pick out and use in my Pressy. So always plan your passage. Keep only the abstract of the passage. Do not go into the specifics. Now, if you read the Pressy I just showed you, there was no particular specific about Sputnik or about NASA or about, let's say, R7 rocket or any name of a space station. So no particulars need to be presented in your Pressy. You just need to keep the zest, or the crux of the passage in your Pressy. So keep only the abstract of the passage. Do not use specifics from the passage in your Pressy. Third, selection of the most prominent phrases and sentences is very important, because you should be able to understand what is the key point of this paragraph, and I'll tell you how to do that today itself in the next few slides. So just stick with me, guys. And then you form a chain of facts and connect to make an organic whole. So after picking out important points from all the paragraphs, then you form a chain of facts that you have put down as important key points, and then organically create a paragraph, which becomes your Pressy. It should be an organic paragraph. It should look like a short story or a short replica of the original passage, and that is your target when you are writing your Pressy. So let's move ahead, guys, and let's see what could be the important what are the important key points of Pressy writing, right? Very good, Bhuvan, very well sought. Now, but before we do that, guys, today I wanted to highlight what is the difference between a Pressy and a summary. Now, guys, many students believe that a Pressy and a summary are the same thing. They aren't actually. So we need to understand and we need to clearly differentiate between the two. What is a summary and what is a Pressy? And actually, since since we started learning what articulation is all about, I think most of us would probably think that Pressy and summary are the same thing. You are summarizing the whole passage. No, actually it is not. Summary and Pressy are two very different things. So let me explain what the difference between a Pressy and a summary is. Right, so I'll read out the difference and I'll mark down the key points in the next slide. So let's read about this, guys. What is Pressy writing all about? So a small miniature, please read the words very carefully because they're very important, guys. A small miniature of any piece of writing which provides the absolute main point. Now remember this, guys. A small miniature of any piece of writing which provides the absolute main point, the key point, the central theme, the soul of the passage of that writing or article can be defined as a Pressy. It must consist of an appropriate heading, that it should have a title. Maintaining the order of the original passage is not necessary in a Pressy. Now please remember this, guys. Students ask, sir, should we follow the same sequence? Should we follow the same order as it has been given in the passage? It is not compulsory, guys. You can reshuffle, you can create your own you can create your own order of presentation, right? But it should not be haywire, it should be logical. So you can reshuffle, you can jumble the sequence, the order of the passage, and then you can create your own form of presentation. So remember this, maintaining the order of the original passage is not compulsory, is not necessary in a Pressy. The essential points are usually mentioned here in a Pressy. So the essential points are mentioned here. No extra information is to be put here. The tone of the speech used is the same throughout the read. Now many students ask me, sir, should we use past tense in a Pressy? Because that's what they've heard from other people or from other sources. That is not true. Because see, guys, if the passage is in future tense, if we talk about, let's say, the future of genetically modified crops, for example. So if this is the passage and what the future holds, now we can't use that in past tense in the Pressy, can we? So that is the poorest form of presenting a Pressy out there. So do not change the tone of the passage, do not change the speech, do not change the tense of the passage. Keep it similar, keep it as keep it as close to the original passage. If they're talking about future, the Pressy should also talk about future. If the passage talks about the past, the Pressy should also talk about the past. If we are referring to present, it should also be kept in present tense. So the tone of the speech should used in the passage should be same throughout the read. In Pressy, the conclusion is a must at the end. So guys, always remember, in Pressy you always have to give a conclusion sentence which wraps up the whole paragraph, which will justify the other main points described. So these are certain key points of a Pressy. But let's read what summary writing is all about. So the summary can be described as a brief of all the recorded points. See, summary is not just about the main points. Summary is about all the recorded points. All the points that are given in the passage should be mentioned in a summary. So it is only about condensing the whole thing, where you are including all the key points, all the points of the passage. But in Pressy, you do not mention all the key points. You only keep the absolute main point of the passage. So that is the number one difference. So summary can be described as a brief of all recorded points in an article. Any passage or any article with a shortened variation depicts a summary. Read this carefully, guys. Any passage or an article with a shortened variation. Shortened variation means, if let's say in one paragraph they have discussed, they've given 4 sentences. So what I'll do is I'll take out 4 small points and then merge them together into one sentence, and I'll take that one sentence from one paragraph. But in Pressy we don't do that. We only take out the key sentence from the passage. What is the key sentence, and then we remold it or reframe it in our own words. So that is the difference. So any passage or article with a shortened variation depicts a summary, where the headline is necessarily not so important. And guys, in a summary, title is not compulsory, title is not important, and it is not compulsory in a summary. But in a Pressy, it is. It definitely is. Now, the not only headline, but also the order needs to be maintained. Now, guys, see, you're not only keeping the headline. You're not. It's not that you have to compulsorily keep the headline. The order needs to be maintained here. So the sequence of the original passage needs to be maintained in a summary. But in a Pressy, it's not compulsory. It's not necessary. You can use your own, you can reshuffle the points, you can reshuffle the paragraphs into your own way of presentation. Now covering all the important points. Now the tone used in the summary varies. So see, listen to this guys, the tone used in summary varies and necessarily is not needed to be in order. So in summary, you can change the tone. In summary, you can put it in a sort of, what do you say, reported speech. Whatever you have observed from the passage can be put there in a reported speech kind of manner, right? And the summary can also skip the conclusion if it is not required, and it would still mean the same. So as I told you guys in the last session, if the original passage is the human body, so this was an analogy I gave you last time. So if the whole passage is the body, then skeleton would be summary, whereas soul would be Pressy. That is the underlying difference. So if the whole passage is the human body, then skeleton would be the summary, where you are highlighting all the key points in a sequence. This is the skull, that's your shoulder blades, that's the rib cage, these are your arms, these are your limbs, that's the torso, that's your thighs, that's your shin, and that's your again toes. So when you keep on pointing all the points that are mentioned in the passage in a sequence, that is called a summary. But the soul of the body, which is located at the center of your body, which does not talk about limbs or shoulders or rib cage, it only talks about what is inherently present, what has been inherently discussed in the passage. Now that is what is called a Pressy. So guys, got the difference? So let me highlight to you, let me put it in simple key points what the difference between a Pressy and a summary is, right? So Pressy, it must have a heading. Pressy, it is just a small replica of the article. No need for maintaining the order of the article of the passage. It contains only the main or essential points of the passage. The same tone as used in the passage is used throughout the Pressy. The main idea of the passage has to be extracted. You need to read between the lines and then carefully come to your inference. That would be your Pressy, and it contains a conclusion as well. Whereas in a summary, a heading is not that required. It is a brief description of the article. That means you are describing the whole article. You're not just pointing the key points, you are pointing all the points that are mentioned in the passage. The order should always be maintained here in the summary. I mean, you should follow the sequence of the passage. It covers all the important points, not just the main points. It is expressed in terms of reader's own words. So it is expressed according to the reader's words, right? Somebody who's reading the passage. Somebody was read and then it is presented in reader's own words. The idea is already extracted in the shortest form possible. So you are putting out all the points, important points, all the points that are mentioned in a summary, and not every time a summary ends with a conclusion. So if you look at it, basically, now they are actually opposite to each other. So they are two very different forms of articulation, two very different forms of drafting. But yes, why the confusion? There are many similarities between the two as well. So what are the similarities? See, both the Pressy and the summary provide the gist of the original work in shortened form. One may not contain the headings or the conclusions, but the point remains the same. See, the point is to pick out all the important points from the passage. In summary, you only pick out the main points. In summary, you pick out all the all the points mentioned in the passage, whereas in a Pressy, you only pick out the main points or the central themes of the passage. Now, no addition of idea occurs. Both in a Pressy and a summary, you cannot add anything beyond the passage, guys. Please remember this. You cannot add anything into the passage on your own. Whatever has to be put in a Pressy has to be based on the premises of the passage, and it has to be extracted from by the inference of the passage only. Nothing from your own information, from your own opinion can be added into it. So no addition of idea occurs. The facts remain the same, all without changing, and no factual idea slide into the article. So there is no factual idea, there is no addition or let's say changing of the mod of the article, of the original passage, when you are making a summary or a Pressy. And last but not the least, if we see in a structured way, we can mark that 1/3 of both the original text in Pressy and summary, maintaining the order and complete the sentence's meaning. So basically, you're doing the same thing. You are taking the crux out of the passage, but the execution is different. See, guys, the only difference between Pressy and summary is the execution. Obviously, you will mark all the key points of the passage as you go along reading, right? But when you are articulating, that is where the difference kicks in. right? In the summary, you will be targeting all the points. In Pressy, you will only be looking for the central theme, the main idea of the passage, what has been conveyed by the author, the underlying theme of the passage, and that will be presented organically in your own presentation, in your own order, where you will be observing proportion, and you will be highlighting key points, only the key points from the passage. So that was the difference, and subtle differences between a Pressy and a summary, and I hope that would make clear what to do and what not to do in a summary, and what to avoid when you are making a Pressy, right? So I hope we are hitting two birds with with one stone here. We learned two things today, summary as well as Pressy, and the clear distinction between the two. Now let's come to the important points, the do's and don'ts of Pressy writing. Now these are very, very important, and the ones I have marked in red, please remember them very carefully, guys, because they are going to be very important in your composition, right, in your Pressy writing. So let's read the important do's and don'ts of Pressy writing, the tricks that you need to remember. Number one, guys, when you are framing a Pressy, always remember, start the Pressy. The first sentence of the Pressy should be, the introductory sentence of the Pressy should be the central theme. It should highlight the central theme of the whole passage. So the introductory sentence should talk about whatever has been conveyed in the whole passage in one sentence itself. So start the Pressy with the main idea. Always remember this, guys. Start the Pressy with the main idea so that the reader can quickly understand the essence of the Pressy. So that is your aim. With the first sentence itself, the idea should be clear, what the Pressy or what the passage is all about. So that is the first key point. Always start your Pressy with the central theme of the passage. Okay, don't start with what has been given in the first paragraph of the passage. I've seen students, what they do is they take out one point from every paragraph and then they follow the same thing in the Pressy itself. Don't do that. The first sentence of the Pressy should be written in your own words, should be written by you, which highlights the one key point, the central point of the whole passage in your own frame, in your own framing of the sentence, in your own execution, in your own understanding. So always start the Pressy with the central theme of the passage. The first sentence of your Pressy should be the main idea of the whole passage. Then you will discuss the rest of the points in between, in the middle of the Pressy, in the body of the Pressy. But the first sentence should be the main idea of the passage. Is this clear to everyone, guys? So please mark these down. They are very important points. Second, now this is very important. Now students ask me, sir, how do we find out the important points and how do we observe proportion? I mean, how do we equally point out the key points from all the paragraphs? So let me explain this to you, how to do it. Now guys, remember this, take one key point from every paragraph. That is how you can observe proportion and you can target your word limit, right? And that is smart approach, guys. That way you will not miss out on anything, and that way you will be able to observe proportion for all the important ideas or important points that you are going to mention in a Pressy. So take one key point from every paragraph, which can mostly be extracted from either the first or the last sentence of every paragraph. Now what I'm trying to say here is, guys, listen to this. See, when do we change paragraphs? You need to understand this. When do we change paragraphs? We change paragraphs when we are discussing another angle, another aspect of the same topic, right? See, the point of changing the paragraph is to discuss another angle, discuss another dimension, discuss another aspect of the topic. So you can very clearly understand that every paragraph will talk about something different here. If let's say one paragraph talks about growth, the other talks about the expenditure, the other talks about I'm referring to the passage that we just read about the space exploration. One talked about the US and USSR space race. The other talked about how it fared in the future. The other talked about which rockets and which were the agencies which were included in this. Then one paragraph talked about how it ended up, and what we achieved through this, and then we gave a conclusion. So what you need to do is, you need to understand every paragraph will discuss one different aspect of the topic. So what you need to do is, you need to take out one key point from every paragraph. That is bare minimum. And where would you find this main point? Now guys, with lots of experience and a lot of habit into this, I can tell you, see, either the first sentence or the last sentence of every paragraph holds the key point of that paragraph. Mostly it is the first sentence, because that is how articulation is done. So whenever you start a paragraph, whenever an author starts a paragraph, he understands that the first line of every paragraph should highlight the whole paragraph. Or they also take it sometime, they start with some example with some relevant point, and then they give the key point in the last sentence. So guys, this is a very good trick. In every paragraph, read the first line and the last line to extract the key point of that paragraph. That is your target area. So where would you find the key point of every paragraph? Either in the first sentence of that paragraph or the last sentence of that paragraph. So take one key point from every paragraph, which can mostly be extracted from either the first or the last sentence of every paragraph. Then, while writing a Pressy, make a suitable environment for where all the points can be described and discussed equally. That is what I was talking about, to observe proportion. And you need to do it in a very scientific manner. Let's say if you are writing a Pressy for 150 words, and on an average we write about let's say 10 to 12 sentences for 150 words, and you see there are 8 paragraphs or 9 paragraphs in your passage. So now you can be very scientific with your approach, that okay, one title, then first sentence, that should be the central theme of the passage. Then I have 8 sentences from 8 paragraphs which I will be discussing about. I'll put them in an organic way by connecting them using conjunctions, not just as sentences. Obviously I'll connect it and I'll make it like an organic paragraph, and then I have one sentence in the end for conclusion. So that would make you make you understand, okay, this is how we observe proportion. This is how we give equal weightage to all the key points of the passage. Got it? So make sure that you observe proportion. Next, now guys, important is this is, as a Pressy is concise, compress it by using connecting words. So guys, always compress your sentences. You cannot keep on writing small points in every sentence. That would be too problematic for you. So always connect those sentences by using connecting words or conjunctions, and make sure that space is available to retain the important data, keywords, and the concept. So basically what you need to understand is you need to be collating the points. You need to collate key points together and put them in one sentence by using conjunctions. And what are the conjunctions? However, consequently, subsequently, therefore, in spite of, despite, in the wake of, in contrast to, along with, besides. So use these conjunctions to create an organic paragraph which is connected with with the sentences which are connected with each other, and that's what makes a an excellent Pressy out there. Now, removing irrelevant data or irrelevant sentence is as important as writing the relevant points. So remember this, guys. Extracting important data and removing irrelevant data is as important. Now, thus identify the superfluous data and facts. Now, identify the superfluous data and facts and keep the core idea of the work only in Pressy. So you only need to keep the core idea, and you need to extract superfluous data, explanation that is given, or any data that only that is only used as a supporting statement for the key point. Avoid that, exclude that, and only keep the key point. Now, another important point, guys, we cannot add anything into the passage. So do not form any personal opinions, remarks, and criticism in a Pressy. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, let's say there was a passage which talked about the economic recession, right? The recession which can be seen all across US and Europe and many other countries, right, across the world. So let's say the passage was all about that, and let's say there was a sentence which said that there are many factors that have led to this situation. COVID-19, wars, and recovery after COVID-19 has led to this issue. Now, they had not mentioned specifically Russia-Ukraine war. So the wars are going on in numerous countries across the world, right? But see, if it is not specifically mentioned, they're talking about, or they're referring to Russia-Ukraine war, you cannot assume, or you cannot add that into your Pressy, that Ukraine-Russia war has created havoc on the economies of the world. We can't do that. So do not add any personal opinion, do not form any personal remark or any criticism in a Pressy on your own, right? Do not do that. It has to be a small replica of the original passage itself, right? You cannot add anything, insert into anything into it. Next, do not reuse text from the passage. Very important. I have seen students copying sentences when they are hurrying up. because of the shortage of time, I've seen students copying sentences from the passage, and they think that they'll not be caught. That will be the first thing that will start going in in the opposite direction, right? So we cannot add or we cannot copy anything from the passage. We have to keep it original in our own words, but on the same tone, on the same lines of the passage. And last but not the least, use synonyms to present the sentence in your own words. Use similar words. For example, if they have written government, use central authorities, right? That is the same thing. If they have said financial benefit, you say monetary support. That is the same thing. So guys, this is how you use synonyms, new words to present the same point. So the less you copy from the actual passage, the better it is going to be. See, you cannot avoid key points, right? See, I cannot change the name NASA. I cannot change the name USSR. I cannot change the name space, right? But I can say, instead of saying space exploration, I can say the journey of space, right? Or let's say the aviation towards space. So this is what needs to be understood, that you cannot change the key points, the central theme, but we can change the mode of presentation in a Pressy, and that needs to be done. And that is what brings originality to the passage. So that is what brings distinction or originality into your passage, and that is very, very important in this. See, the psyche of this question is, the psychology behind this question is to see your inference power, your comprehension skills, and your presentation skills, which must include originality, right? Brevity and originality, guys. All right, guys. So these were some important points. Now, I wanted to discuss a few, a few important time breakup of all these few questions that you will be given in the paper. So I have put it down here. So if you want to see what should be your time management for RBI Grade B exam, now let's look into this, guys. The expected word limit for essays would be between 350 to 400 words. I have told you earlier, even if it is 600 words, they may try to confuse you or put you under pressure. What you should be targeting is 400 words. That is the ideal word limit. 400 words is the ideal word limit for your essay in RBI. So that is the ideal word limit for your essay. Now, 400 words, that is what you should target when you are practicing on your own. The weightage for essay is 30 marks. So the time allocation for essay should be between 25 to 30 minutes. It can differ, it may range a couple of minutes here or there, right? That is the buffer time that you will have. So 25 to 30 minutes for essay, which includes first 2 minutes to make a rough draft, as I told you in the previous sessions, then 25 minutes to draft your essay, to write it down there, and then last 2 minutes to proofread your essay. That should be included in that 30 minutes itself. So that should be your breakup for your essay. Then second is Pressy writing. So that see, the word limit for Pressy is between 150 to 170 words, and that is what we should target. We should never exceed. Now guys, I will talk about this in the next few sessions. Never exceed the word limit in a Pressy. That is a strict no-no. We cannot exceed the word limit in a Pressy, right? We have to stay behind. We have to limit our Pressy just below the word limit. So if let's say the word limit is 150, you should strive, or you should target anything between 135 to 150, but do not go beyond 150. That will lead to deduction of marks. Please remember that. Never exceed word limit in a Pressy. This is very, very important. All right, if the word limit is 170, target anything between 155 to 170. Do not go beyond 170. That is a strict no-no. Right, and the weightage for Pressy is 30 marks, and the time allocation should be 20 to 25 minutes for Pressy, because obviously it is short. You do have to read the passage, but then after reading the passage, it will be very easy for you to frame it in the within the time. So what should be the breakup of time? 7 to 10 minutes to read the passage, to mark the important points from every paragraph in the rough sheet of paper that you will be given. So first 7 to 10 minutes to read the passage, the sooner the better. Then next 10 to 12 minutes to draft your Pressy. So if I just write, let's say 10 words per minute. So in 10 minutes or 12 minutes, I think I'll be able to write 150 words, right? So I think that is feasible. So first 7 to 10 minutes to read the passage, next 10 to 12 minutes to draft the Pressy, and last 1 or 2 minutes to proofread it. All right, so that should be the breakup of your Pressy, 20 to 25 minutes. And then what should be the time management for your reading comprehension? So you will be given 5 questions on reading comprehension if you look at the previous year paper. And for every question, for every answer, you would be required to write around 70 to 90 words. So there's a simple rule: for 1 mark, you have to write 10 words in a reading comprehension passage, in a reading comprehension answer. So let's say there are 5 questions for 40 marks. That means every question is for 8 marks, right? So for an 8 mark, for an 8 mark question, or for 8 marks, what we need to understand, we need to write around 70, between 70 to 90 words. So that should be your target word limit for reading comprehension, guys. Got it? And this is the biggest chunk of the paper. 5 questions for 40 marks. That means every question is for 8 mark. So for 8 marks, so write target between 70 to 90 words. So if you target 70 to 90 words, so you are again collectively writing between 350 to 400 words, which is, equal to the essay itself. And this includes reading the passage as well. So you need to elaborate your answers here, and that is a challenging task. So I would say anything between 25 to 30 minutes should be allocated to your reading comprehension, right? And what should be the breakup? First 7 to 10 minutes to read the passage, next 15 to 20 minutes to draft your answers, and then last 2 minutes to proofread it. So if we look at the breakup, guys, I said 25 to 30 minutes for essay, right? 20 to 25 minutes for Pressy, and then I said 25 to 30 minutes for your RC. So let's look at the extreme side. Let's see that we are taking the maximum time possible, right? So that adds up to 85 minutes. You still have 5 minutes left. So these 5 minutes should be kept as the buffer time. What is buffer time? You may need a little time here, there, to sit down, to think, and probably drink some water, or probably a little more time into reading comprehension when you're finishing your answers, or probably a little a minute here or a minute there to read the passage. So if you follow this time management strategy, this will definitely help you in your exam. And if you practice this, when you're practicing on your own at this point of time, if you use this time management, this will definitely give you the real insight of your articulation, of your speed, and of your attempt that you are going to make. So I hope this time management will help you for your preparation. Now let's move ahead, guys. Now let me tell you the 5 prominent mistakes, 5 frequent mistakes the student make in a Pressy. So I'll highlight 5 mistakes not to make while drafting a Pressy. Can we put down, guys? Okay, let me, I will give you some, but let me put down a few more there. First is copy and paste. Students do that a lot of time. Do not do that in a paper. Do not copy and paste. Do not reuse text from the passage. So do not reuse text from the passage. That is very important. Second, word limit. Do not exceed the word limit in a Pressy. That is very, very important. You cannot exceed the word limit in a Pressy. If you do that, it will lead to deduction of marks. Then third is title. Do not forget title and structure. That is one paragraph. So it has to have one title on the top, short, crisp, and the Pressy is written in one paragraph only. Do not make more than one paragraph in a Pressy. Got it? Then exclusion of specifics. Exclusion of specifics. That means exclusion of stats from the passage, exclusion of data, or exclusion of any specific example that is given in the passage, or anything specific that is given in the passage. So exclusion of specifics is very, very important, because that will basically tell the evaluator that do you know how to discriminate between the essential and the non-essential. And what else could be there? Being original. I think I did tell you, copy pasting is not allowed, so you will be original. Then do not insert anything beyond the passage. So, and do not insert anything, unmentioned. Let me put it this way. Do insert unmentioned points in a Pressy. Do not do that, guys. That is strict no. We cannot do that. And these are very frequent mistakes I have seen students making in the paper, right? Now, I have put down a few things that you need to remember, as well, beyond all the 5 things that I gave you. Please make sure that you do not make any typos or any grammatical mistakes while writing a Pressy. That is strict no. Second, do not exceed the word limit. I told you this. Please follow the structure of the Pressy, that is title on the top and a paragraph below it. Only use the information that is given in the passage. That means, only use information that can be inferred from the passage. Anything beyond the passage cannot be included here. Do not reuse text from the passage. Do not copy and paste. I think I did tell you about it. So these are very, very frequent 5 key points, key mistakes that students make in the paper. We cannot do that here because we will lose marks and the competition is cutthroat. So every mark is important here. Got it, guys? So these were a few tricks, few tips for Pressy writing. Now, this is the homework passage, guys. You can take a screenshot or you can watch the video again or pause the video later on, and you have to make a Pressy for it. So this is a passage based on agriculture, right? And let's see how you create a Pressy out of it, right? So I'm giving this passage to you as homework, and I'll be taking your doubts. Give me a second, guys. So take it, take it as a homework. I want you to make a Pressy out of it and put it down in the comment section of the video. So this is the first page, first few paragraphs of the, of this. This is the second slide, guys. If you want to take a screenshot, you can. Or if you want to, use it later on, then you can pause the video later on and then use it. And we'll also provide the PDF to you, by the way. So if you want the PDF of this session, join our Telegram group, Telegram channel, the link for which has been given in the description of the video, right? If you just, click on that arrow button below, the last link that is given at the bottom, that is for our Telegram group. Click that will take you to the Telegram group, and there you can find all the PDFs, all these PDFs for free and many others, guys. So it's a very good, very informative channel, by the way. And this is a simple answer for this, but I'm not going to give you this. You can use this to refer to your answer later on, but first draft your own Pressy, guys. So guys, how was the passage today? How was the session today? Please do let me know about it in the comment section of the video. And guys, if you've not liked the session yet, if you've not, subscribed to our channel, please don't shy away from doing that. All right. So Lohit is asking, so can you elaborate on fourth? Shouldn't exclude facts, examples. Yes, you should exclude facts, examples, any specific, Lohit. I think I made it fairly clear that you should exclude anything specific from the passage. Any specific example, any specific data, any specific statistic that is given, you only need to keep the gist. I'll give you a simple example, Lohit. For example, they have mentioned that the central government has allocated 20,000 crore rupees for the upliftment of women and rural society of the country. So I will not mention that 20,000 crore rupees, right? That is specific. What I will take from this is governments have taken initiatives to support or to provide financial or monetary, to provide monetary support or monetary benefit to the to women and rural sector of the country. That would be the that would be my extraction point. I will not take 20,000 crores or the upcoming budget. Got it? So the key point here is the government is taking initiatives to support this sector. That is the underlying meaning here. So the 20,000 crores or the upcoming budget or the BJP government, let's say if it was written, the BJP government in the recent budget allocated 20,000 crore rupees for the upliftment of the rural economy in general and women and children in particular. So what I will take out from this is central government taking initiatives by providing monetary support to these people. So that would be my extraction point. Got it, Lohit? And I hope this is clear to everyone. So guys, I hope I'm clear to you. Mehak, you can post your answer in the comment section of the video. So after you are done writing your Pressy, copy it, and paste it in the comment section of the video. Can you do that, Mehak? I would love to read your Pressys, guys. I would love to see how you are drafting your answers. And in the previous session, Smriti wrote a very good Pressy. If you go to the previous video, you'll see her Pressy. There were a couple of other students who wrote their Pressys. So do practice these Pressys, guys. We are bringing these sessions for you. These are not for us. What would we get out of this, guys? Please understand this. And what would I benefit from giving you a homework and then reading your Pressy later on? This is for you. This is for your benefit, and we are doing it wholeheartedly. just to give you the necessary push, the necessary inputs, where you start practicing your Pressy, where the fear goes away and you do well and you fare well after phase 2. So do take these homeworks, homework passages seriously, that I'm giving you. They'll be helpful in the long run, honestly speaking, guys. Sure. In summary, we should say 20,000 crore. Lohit, are you not listening to what I'm saying? You're exactly saying the opposite of what I'm telling you. I said exclude 20,000 crore rupees and budget and BJP government. Keep the key point. Exclude that. Do not use 20,000 crore. Use only the point. The point here was, the point the author was making was, the government is taking initiatives to support a rural economy or rural sector of the country. That is to be taken out from that sentence. You are saying exactly the opposite of what I just said to you. We are not making a summary. We are making a Pressy, Lohit, here. I'm not teaching you summary writing, by the way. You'll not be asked a summary. You'll be asked a Pressy. Yes, in your summary, you can write all the key points. In summary, you will use 20,000. Yes. But in a Pressy, no. Yes, if it is asked for summary, then numbers should be included, but not in a Pressy. Not at all. Got it? Sorry, I misread that. I thought you were asking about Pressy writing, and summary is never asked in these competitive exams. Even in NABARD, SEBI, RBI, PFRDA, or there's an exam today, IFSCA, you'll only be asked Pressy. You're never asked summary, because summary is subjective, and you cannot judge anyone's summary. Summary is a summary. It's just copying and pasting of facts from the passage, whereas Pressy is exactly opposite of that, right? I think we did that. We clearly discussed that in the session today. So guys, please do let me know how was the session. Did you learn something useful today? Did you find it useful? Did you find it beneficial for your preparation? Do let me know that. And guys, don't forget to like the session. Don't forget to share it so that it may reach someone out there who really needs this, right? So thank you so much for your precious time. Thank you for joining in. And on a Saturday morning, by the way, which is an important day for all of you, I do know that. So I do respect your time. I do wish that you get benefited from these sessions. So guys, if you want the PDF of this session, I told you, you can join our Telegram channel, the link for which has been given in the description of the video. If you have any doubts or if you have any queries, you can call us during the office hours on this number that is given on your screen, 8146207241, or you can drop us an email at hello@edutap.co.in. And if you want to check out our courses, you can visit our website www.edutap.co.in, or you can also check out the links given in the description of the video. So I hope this was useful. I hope this was beneficial for you. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you so much for your patience and your receptiveness. And I do wish you all the success in your endeavors ahead. Keep up the good work. Keep on working hard. Stay and have a positive mindset, and that will take you miles and miles ahead of your competition. So keep up the good work, guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'll see you again on Tuesday with another session on Pressy writing, where we will be discussing how to write a Pressy like a pro, and we'll be discussing many insights of Pressy writing. So don't forget to join this session. And guys, we have these sessions on every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday, 8 a.m. in the morning. So don't skip them. Don't miss out on anything important that you may find here. So keep up the good work. God bless you all. Have a good day, and happy learning to all of you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.